And my name is Justina, and I will be the trainer of those 4 classes together with Maxim. Maxim will be supporting me, and I will be also introducing Maxim in a second. But we are representing organization Hollis, and we are part of this project, Open School for Village House, together with other organizations. And you had a chance to meet all of the organization, if I'm correct. There is module number 5 is run by Dragana. So you will have also have a chance to talk with her. But as I said, Hollis, we are a non-profit organizations, and we are working with most current social and ecological challenge. We are working a lot with businesses, but also with NGOs. I would say even more with NGOs and organizations. And we can always tell a little bit more later on what we do if you're interested. But we are here today to talk about the things that we love to do, which is sustainability, which is a big part. And I will be answering all your questions. I hope we have something prepared for you. But just to give you the background and tell me if you can see my presentation. Obviously you can see my presentation, yes? Perfect. So just to give you a background why I am here and I'm talking to you, and why there is this other person, Maxim, smiling to you, just to give you a little bit of understanding who I am. So I'm a strategic designer and a designer researcher, and my expertise is sustainability. So it's really good for me because I will be talking today from bottom of my heart, from sustainability, because every day I'm working on sustainability with the different companies, but also organizations, and have been working on the European market, but also in US for the last 10 years. Recently, I moved to Sweden. So it's expanding my knowledge about this region and sustainability per se here. And I'm working as a CEO of Hollis for the last, I think, year now. And I'm still going to continue this journey for the next year. And I'm here to make this knowledge understandable for you. I'm looking forward to share some ideas, obviously, but just to give you the idea why I am here and why I'm speaking. But I will allow Maxim to maybe introduce himself. Maxim, if you could take a space.
Sure, thank you, Justina. Hello, everyone. My name is Maxim Dedushkov. I'm a person who are always struggling to write his bio because it changes all the time, at least in my head. But yeah, I'm kind of social entrepreneur, researcher, innovation expert, things like this. And I founded Hollis in 2014. And I'm very happy to have Justina on board for the last 1 year and taking this project forward, pushing this project forward. So I'm really looking forward to spend this time with you today and during the next 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I'm really encouraging you to ask questions to Maxim too. In the chat, he will be answering. So I will be talking, also trying to respond to you, but please use us and squeeze the knowledge from us as much as possible, because we are here for you. But to move on later in the presentation, but just to give me a second, because obviously I have 2 screens. Okay, just a notion that we are working, we are often working in a collaboration, and especially Open School for Village Host is all about collaboration. But just to mention that on this specific module, we had the support of Martin, and he was also, working with us and creating this part from his experience. Just to mention that this is not only me and Maxim, but there is like Martin, but even more people. Okay, let's move on. So let's move on to the module number 4, and I will be talking a little bit, but then I will obviously mixing some exercises today. We call this a dream builder because we are here to support you to build your dream, which is hopefully one day social entrepreneurship with elements of sustainability. And I will be revealing what is this exactly. I'm sure some of you already have a knowledge, you are experienced, but we're gonna try to make it really basic today. Maybe some parts we're gonna get deeper, but we have other 3 classes. but just to tell you how we will be working. But this is something that you can find also in the description of the module. We will be focusing really deeply on sustainable products, services, and businesses a little bit. So this is the aim and the focus of these 4 classes. And then we will be diving deep into how to create a value proposition. This is the term that quite often people in design, they use. A value proposition that is sustainable for your product, for your concept, for your idea. So this is something that I do as a living. I'm consulting companies how they can create a value that is sustainable for their businesses. So this is just to give you the overview why and how we're going to do this. So move on, just to give you a little bit of more perspective. Today, we're going to talk about this approach of sustainability product and services. So this is the first class. Then we're going to have a class later this week about problem and goal tree method. So we're going to go deep, I would say, to the root of the things that you want to address as a social entrepreneurship, maybe in the future, as a concept, and etc. So we're going to try to find the arguments why you are doing this one, why are you responding to this challenge. The third one class is going to be about value proposition. So this is going to be a lot of group work, a lot of me explaining and working with you how you can create sustainable value proposition. And the last class, it's going to be actually on my birthday, which is really cool. It's going to be on 20th of April, so in 2 weeks. No expectation. You don't need to prepare for the party, but it's going to be really cool to have this wrap up, a planet and human-centric services. So how those 3 classes, how I see that as a big picture for everything what we are doing. Yes, so as a planet and human service design. So just to give you the idea, obviously we're going to have some exercises, some homeworks, and discussion along the way. So this is how we're going to work for this next 2 weeks. Obviously, if you have some question, then let me or Maxim know. But before we're going to start, I want to level up with all of you about sustainable product or service. I would love you to take 3 minutes now and think really like something that you don't need to Google it. I want to hear your thoughts. What is your own definition of sustainable product or service? What is it? What do you think is it? Like first thing that you thought about when you hear that. And in 3 minutes or 4, I want you to all of you to share in the chat because I want all of us to understand what's the level of the knowledge that we are coming today with. Is that okay? I see some nodding. Okay, so let's have 3-4 minutes, think, and whenever you're ready, please share. Perfect. I'm gonna put the timer actually, so we will know we have the time. First thing that comes to your mind. Perfect. I see already some examples. We still have some 2-3 minutes, so please use this time. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be real definition, your own definition, how you feel it. Okay, perfect. So please share, and I will be just reading for our live streamers, people who are following on the YouTube, because I believe that they cannot see the chat, or maybe they are. But just to wrap up all the answers, Ella wrote a product or service that contributes to society and has a human planet-centric organization and financial model. So two things that are connected to each other, yeah? Then I have Carlos saying, should be a service that puts people at the center and that allows us to improve the surrounding environmental and community. So it has an impact, yeah? Ecological and sustainable product is the one that mainly endanger resources, yes, and its economic terms. It is the one that can sustain itself and cover its cost. Yes, exactly, from Ivana. Selena wrote, grow your own food, reuse things, recycle, save environment, plant trees. Yes. Lieva, I don't know if I'm saying correctly the name. It's use full cycle of material resources, inclusive, global, make it locally, but serve globally if needed. It goes with development, rechecking. Exactly. Iran wrote that it's a product service that remains in time. Yes, so it's long term. We're not thinking about short term results or product without impacting negatively the environment, and etc. and the community. Anyana wrote a product or service that respect, protect, takes care of the environment, and it's non-profit driven. We'll be talking a little bit about this one. Viviana wrote, I see a sustainable product or service as something tangible or intangible, yes, durable, not doesn't require exploitation, align with values and respect and cooperation. Exactly, and 36 degrees on all humanity and non-human beings. This is something that we're gonna talk on our last session about the non-human beings. Closed loops from Merce, from Dragana. Sustainable service is the one that is highly needed by the community and does not make any compromise to meet the needs of the future generation. And then from Claudia, sustainable product or service is something connected with the common sense of elderly people. Less waste, reuse, give the right value to the things. Thank you so much for writing. It's really, and I have still things coming, so please come send it to me. We will be sharing later. It's really important for all of us to state the basic knowledge before we're gonna dive deep. I know some of you already have some, maybe had some class on sustainability or heard or use maybe sustainability, but today we're going to try to make it as an entry point for everyone. And thank you so much for sharing. And just to make it, and then you will be seeing me looking at two screens because I have two screens. I have presentation and the chat. But I want to just to share a little bit more on that one, that some of you already were saying that we used to have, and we are still having this old school system that works in certain corporations on the companies. And this system or those systems that are not working well anymore, and we are, all of us, we are familiar with that. We are seeing things changing, we are seeing company failing, and things really being really demanding. Yeah, and at least we see that this is not how it should be. Yeah, this is not the real solution that we are searching for. So obviously, why certain things are happening, you might ask. Yeah, and obviously climate change, global economic crisis, growing population, we have many modern challenges that we haven't had before. So that's why the old school models of economy or business models or like designing the products, they're not relevant anymore. We need new tools, we need new modern tools and methods to be able to tackle certain challenges. And the same goes with sustainability. Like, now we have sustainability. I mean, we have the sustainable approach, because with the sustainable approach, we are able to actually work towards the future. So the old model is not relevant anymore. So that's why maybe you're hearing so much people saying, oh, we need to be more sustainable from an individual point of view, but also from an organization point of view, society point of view, governmental, and etc. So you will see that now the new tools are in need because we have more modern challenges. Just to give you a little bit of understanding that the old models are not sustainable anymore. We need a real model that can be adaptable, and they can be adapted to the modern challenges. So just to put emphasis on that one. So obviously I don't want to overload you with the knowledge, but I think I will today. So please bear with me and just ask questions. But when I'm talking about old models, it's so-called linear economy. And the linear economy, it's all about taking the resources, which are not ours, making something out of it, using probably just once, because we see and we have a lot of experience in our real life that we are using certain products or services just once and then putting to waste. And from the perspective of sustainability or nature, this is really wrong. But obviously, this is a really awakened moment for all of us as a society. We know that this is not working because we have the things that I just mentioned a slide before. So now we are thinking about, okay, we need to get out from this situation. Yes. So we can't only focus on economical aspect, just like earning and deploying of the resources. It's not working anymore. So that's why there is this proposition of circular economy, and I will be explaining in a second sustainability and circularity. What is it? But circular economy is actually taking the economic model in a totally new way, or the way how it should be, meaning taking the resources that we should be taking, not the resources that are limitless. Yes. Then actually making the best out of it to use the product or the service as long as possible. And some of you already mentioned in the chat something that we can use longer, or the things that we can keep reusing, repurposing, recycling, repairing over and over again. And then we feel when it's the material is really exploited, then we still can squeeze it out. And there are models that maybe other companies or other organizations can take this waste that we think that is waste, but it's not waste for them, and they can bring a second life. So actually, we are not throwing away so per se. So just to tell you that this is a really simple graph showing that how it was, and obviously it still is in some part of the businesses. I'm not saying that linear economy is done. There's still existing such examples of that, and I'm sure all of you are familiar with such a things. But now, if you're thinking about future, if we are thinking about sustainability, there is this element of called circular economy. And just to give you a little bit of clearance, what is sustainability and what is circularity? what's the difference? So circularity is focusing on resources, on materials, on the cycle of this material, yeah? When sustainability is more broadly understood as a concept of people, planet, and economy. So that's sustainability. And circularity itself is like how we're gonna manage our resources, our materials in the best way possible. Just to give you a little bit of like a clearance why I'm using now why I'm using now circularity. But that's the only slide that I'm going to use circularity. I will be using from now on sustainability because it's more broad. Okay, but sustainability, it's a new word, maybe not. And I have proved that from United Nations, they wrote this beautiful document, Our Common Future, and it was 87. So it's not a new knowledge. Maybe I'm 33, so I was not born back then, but I'm affected by this document. And this document is stating what is sustainability or sustainable development. Just to like have a really like main term definition is like, and my favorite part is here, without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. And I think Dragana, she wrote it in her chat that we are thinking about other generations. And this is something that we haven't been talking as a public so maybe so loudly before, that we need to think about the future and we need to think about future generations, because we already now can see the impact of our own decisions. That's why there's so much focus, so much light on sustainability, on our own decisions. Before, as I remember, as I was a kid, there was not so, I mean, there was only ecological. We were using the term be ecological for the environment. But to be honest, I was not that aware that certain things I can now touch. Obviously, now we see so many things happening with the climate and etc. So now that's why now it's so tangible for us to see the results of our actions. So just to give you a little bit of on understanding on that one. But I will follow up because we need to earn our break, and we're going to have a break in the middle, obviously, so you will see. But just to get deeper on that one, just give me a second. Okay, so when I was thinking about business per se, and that was even way more before I start working with the businesses, because I work with the businesses on a daily schedule. So when I thought about the business, obviously I had this wrong thinking, like, oh, they're just, selling the products, they want to make it right, and etc. This is like, the most important for them is to do money. But this is not the whole truth. Now I see that even more clearly. So obviously they can make money, but there is more. There should be more about this. It shouldn't be only about money. So you see here like that there's three spaces that if we think about sustainable product or services, or if we even think about some product or services, we should always think about those three spheres, that they always forever gonna be they're always gonna be embedded together. We cannot separate them. So in the other words, what I want to say, that your product, your service, or your business is not it's not living in this how you call it, it's not living in a void. It's always going to be connected with something. It's going to be connected with the resources, it's going to be connected with other aspects, it's going to always be connected with the community, with the users, with the stakeholders, and etc. It always will be the culture sphere. Irena is writing. Yeah, I mean, we could say that social culture space is the one, but thank you. I will make a note for the person who designed this to maybe add the culture space, that one. So I want you to just to understand that it's not something sustainable. It's not something new. It's the way maybe how we are seeing right now, that this is something really needed, because those three spheres, they're always going to be connected. So we cannot just make a business and think like, oh, it's going to be fine, we're not going to affect no one. Yes, we will be affecting. We will be affecting people, we will be affecting ecology, the environment, and etc. That's why it should be, from its core, it should be sustainable. And then we can add the fourth, the culture aspect. But let's move on further to add even more. For me, when I work with businesses on sustainability, it's not only about how they're talking to the other people, how they're talking to their customers, how their appearance to the public. It's actually how they're communicating with each other. So whenever you're going to make a decision to make a social entrepreneurship as a business or whatever, you will be also needing to communicate yourself, meaning that every decision that you're taking, you will need to ask yourself, is it a good decision that I'm making? Is it the right resources that I'm using? Is it the right people that I want to include in my sustainable sustainable product or services? So sustainability is also a way of communicating and asking the right question at the right time. Because now, with the changing stuff that I was talking to you before, those questions are in need. We need to question everything. And I like that about sustainability, actually, because we can get out from our ego perspective and then have this sustainable perspective, adding, all these questions. And obviously, what we are seeing right now, more and more companies are questioned by the public. And I really love this moment that it was never like that before, that the users of certain products or services are questioning, are asking companies like, are you sure that you're making this right? Are you using the right resources? Which is beautiful. But at the same time, what I want to tell you, that whenever you're going to design something or whenever you're going to create something and put on the market, you're responsible for that, meaning that other people might also question you. And this can be, it can be challenging or not, but this is something that we need to also understand really deeply. So to go even deeper on that one, so sustainable business products or services are about prioritizing social and environmental goals, not harming the environment, like all of you were saying in the chat comments, and focusing how your potential company can build a value around it. So in the end, that you also earn money, because you need to run the company, you need to pay the people, and you need to figure it out. But the money itself, it's not the driving forces, let's put it that way. And I will be explaining why I'm saying that in a couple of slides. And I see that, Maxim, you shared the Donut's economy. Perfect. This is for, like, if someone wants to get deeper on that one. Beautiful book, beautiful method, let's put it that way. But let's move on. So to go deeper, and obviously please feel free to reach out and ask the question in the chat. So to understand for you and for all of us the potential of sustainable business, because it's a big potential, let's put it that way. And I mean, this is something that's the only future that awaits for us. But we can start from this really straightforward, really simple a graphic illustration, which is called triple bottom line. And this is showing us a utopian perfect balance. And I will explain you why I'm saying utopian, because here you feel, oh, there is a beautiful balance between those three elements, which we have a people, we have a profit, and we have a planet. And if we are like really good, then we're going to put our company in the middle. But why did I say utopian? Because it's never, I mean, finger crossed, it's really challenging to make a company, to make social entrepreneurship that is having three of those elements aligned. And by saying that one, I want to take off a little bit of pressure from your back, meaning that you shouldn't be like focusing like, I need to succeed in three of the elements. Okay, Yanis, I can hear you, some of the things. I guess you're really happy with my explanation. I'm super happy that someone is excited about triple bottom lines. So you as a company, you can be really strong on the people, on inclusion, inviting everyone, taking care of the community, maybe making space for working for people, from disadvantaged communities and etc. Yeah, but at the same time, you might be really not bad, but maybe you will really work on the planet elements or the economic elements. Yes, so you won't be able to be in the middle, or like actually you shouldn't be only focusing on that one, because there are so many things that you can work on. So just to give you the idea of this, like as a not treating yourself as a too perfect, let's put it that way, because I have seen many companies and many social entrepreneurship that they wanted from the beginning to tackle 3 of the elements at the same time. But maybe for you, for your idea, it's maybe in the beginning it's good to focus on economical perspective to create a stability, and later on add on the element of maybe bigger focus on the social element, on the environment, or the other way around. Maybe you're going to start from environmental elements, really be really strong on that one, and then you can move on later to the other parts. Okay, let me move on to even get Yanis. How are you, Yanis, today? I can hear you. I guess you're joining us. Yes.
Yes, I feel very good. Thank you for asking.
Yes, I'm happy. That's good. Everyone should be feeling good on my presentation. I can hear some. Oh, okay, thank you for muting. That was my actually second phase that I want to say. Anyway, so about sustainable business model, because I was talking about products, services that we need to think about it, and I will be telling you a little bit more about that one. But I don't want to take too much of the space on a sustainable business model, because you're going to have module number 5 with Sanya and Dragana fully focusing on that one. But what for me is really important to say here, that how this works in a practice, yeah, how sustainable product or service work in a practice, which is actually business model, yeah. So maybe some of you are familiar with the business model canvas, maybe you are. But there is this beautiful 2 layers of that one. And I want you to think about this as a possible element adding to your already existing or the thing that you're designing as a business model. So there's 3 layers, obviously. The first one is a typical one, the business model, let's put it that one. And the second one is the green layer, and it's actually the environment element, the environment life circle business model canvas. Yeah. So here we are really focusing, and this you can use as a guidance. This you can use as a, as an inspiration for you whenever you're gonna ask yourself what kind of sustainable business product or service I want to do. Then you can ask yourself this kind of questions, and here you can answer, what kind of resources you will be using, how you will be using resources, when they're going to be over, what kind of other resources you would need to use. So maybe from the beginning you can ask yourself, maybe don't use this resource, yeah, maybe let's do the service itself, so you don't need to produce the stuff. Yeah, you can think about supply chain, who is connected, who is producing, who is sending, the logistic element, yeah, the distribution, and obviously the most important, the environmental impact. Yeah, so a business model canvas, and especially this element, is helping to guide your discussion, to talk with others, to answer the questions that you as a social entrepreneurship or a business, you will be asked for by the others. What kind of sustainable logistic do you have? What is the sustainable logistic? Are you using, cars, or are you using trains, and etc.? So this is something that is important to think about. And the other element is the third one, is the social stakeholder business model canvas. So the third element, the third layer. So it's actually the place where you can fully think only about the people. And by people, I mean stakeholders. And the stakeholders, they're like, there's a lot of stakeholders that always will be happening around sustainable business model, because it can be your own employee. So the people inside the company, are you including, are you inviting your community, for example, to support? And also your users, your the end beneficiary of your product, or people who are investing in your business. So in this part you can make alignment on the social part, how people are valuing your company, how you are valuing them, are you actually making space for them? Especially because I know some of you're wanting to work in your region, and I know that maybe because of that you will be strong on that one, because you are already established, or you already have a strong connection in your own region. But you please don't take it as a granted, because we have been, as a Hollis, we have been working with different organizations, and for example one in Portugal, and you never know what kind of people you should still still invite to your own idea. There's still maybe some people that we don't take into consideration, but they're really important part, or they can be really important part of your social enterprise. And it can go to other places, yes. So it's always good to check, are we taking this as a granted that we are connected with this region or not? But let us move on to the next one, and then I can give you a small break. But why Justina was talking about this element? Because in sustainable product, services, or businesses, it's all about alignment. And if you have this kind of alignment, it doesn't need to be balanced, obviously, because we don't want to be having everything perfectly utopian things together. But when you have the alignment, then things are going easier, or the things are making sense when you are doing that with others, when you're talking about your business, when you're presenting this business case to the stakeholders, to the regional governments, to the people that they can support you or investments. And the other way around, people who you want to invite to work with you or actually be a part of this change, they can understand that better. And this is something that I have been working for the last 10 years, that how to communicate the value of the sustainable product or service that you're creating is actually by alignment and communicating. So it needs to make sense to you, so it can make sense to the other people. And I'm a bit emotional here because it's so important, and I see that sometimes we think that sustainability is like, oh, we're going to change everything what we are doing in a company, or I need to start from the beginning. But it's really simple. It's all about alignment. But let's us move 2 more slides and you will have a break. You earned that. But but what to actually, how to measure it? Because this is really often a question that I'm getting. How to measure, how to feel where we are, and etc. And there are different tools, and it's all about mapping and assessment. And this is one of the tools that obviously you have the presentation, so you can use whenever you have your product, you have your service, or you're even thinking about it. It's really good to see where are you placing your product or service in the scale. And just to give you a little bit of understanding of the scale. So obviously on one side you have ecology, so environmental, then you have a social on the right side, and up to the top you have economic. So it's really similar to the triple bottom line. But what you don't see is actually when you go deeper, you can decide, or you can assume where you are, where your product or service is actually fitted in this triangle, and then making a decision, or actually use it as a discussion with the people that you work with. Because what I noticed the most, that people, when we work with them in the same teams, they have a different definition, or they think that company is in a different is somewhere else. So it's really nice to use it as a discussion guide. And whenever you're with your team or the people that you're talking about your idea, ask them, where would you place my product or my idea on this scale? Would you think that it's a strong economical value, or maybe it's somewhere in the middle? Maybe maybe it's like mainly social. Maybe it's only about being social, and I shouldn't think about, you know, going to economic element or ecological. Yeah, but it's really nice to make it as is. So the things that you're thinking that you are, and maybe discuss the aspiration, where you want to go. But each movement should have the argument. If we are really social, we want to be really economical at the same time. Why? What's the argument? Why we are doing that? Because this is something that I also noticed, that there is a lack of argument why we are going there, and then some people just and they want to be in the middle without even actually knowing. Okay, one more slide. Actually, it's 4 slides, but it's connected into the one, and I will give you. But obviously, there is the most common challenges and problems when we are thinking about being sustainable social entrepreneurship, for example, as a long name. And the most common, what I find, it's especially for the businesses that are already existing and they're really good with earning money, that they have a problem and a challenge how to become more sustainable, how to become more social, because it's a new skill for them. They used to be really good with earning money. Now they need to stop thinking about this one and go further. Yes. So economic success can be a really questionable for many companies, especially if they grew up as an earning company. Yeah. And I see some question from Iran. I will explain that later in the chat. I will just go on that one. Obviously, there is this element of the social inequality. If we are a company, or if we want to be sustainable, how should we invite other? But the system is broken already. The capitalistic system is already broken. We cannot do anything. So there is also a challenge, the blocker that many people face, like, oh, anyway, how to break the system? The system is already broken. Yeah, like it's already not working well. The other challenge that I'm listening and I'm hearing a lot, it's actually about not enough knowledge, and this is for businesses that they're already operating, most of them, of the social elements. For you, I had this feeling that you're really connected with the people. That's my experience when I was attending other classes, when I was hearing you. We are really close to your community. So look, some other companies, they don't have it, and you already have this. And you would be really good to use this as an advantage, that you already know your people, you already know your community. So this would be easier for you to listen to them, to invite them, because you're already there. They know you. And some companies, they have a problem because maybe they have a really good idea, but they're new, nobody know them. They're not that maybe welcome to the to the community per se. And obviously a greenwashing, which maybe some of you are familiar with, that greenwashing is something really common, that companies, they use sustainability, circularity, we are really inclusive, diversity, we are hiring people from, you know, different disabilities and etc., or like different abilities, because that's the way how you should be saying right now about disabilities. So greenwashing is big, and it might be coming that this is also a blocker for some people, like, anyway, whenever we're gonna do, people are gonna judge us. But before we're gonna move to the break, I want you to maybe write in the chat, or maybe someone would love to say if there is some other blockage that you see, or maybe something that is stopping to actually be a sustainable social entrepreneurship, or even think about a product or service per se, something that maybe you notice that might be blocking you or others. That would be lovely to hear from you. Okay, perfect. There's a rule of 60 seconds, meaning that there's always in a 60 seconds someone gonna say something. And thank you so much, Eva, Eva, for writing. The customer might not be ready for sustainable product as service. Yes, it might be like that, that our idea is amazing, and we're gonna really change the world, but maybe some part of customer in specific region of the world, they're not ready for that. Or maybe we need to change something a little bit, or maybe educate them a little bit more. So then in the future, they can become more sustainable. There's an example of, I'm coming from Poland, I'm a Polish person. So there is the supermarket chain Lidl. And in a Lidl, you had a really cheap food. But what they were start doing, they kind of start educating their future future customers, because they start publishing their own books about food, about sustainable, about veganism, about vegetarianism, about more nutritious food. So they were keep publishing those books, and people obviously they were there, they were reading them, they were buying them, they were like giving each other as a gift, because you needed to have some points to get to the books. And afterwards, or at the same time, they start actually promoting more healthy food, more sustainable food coming from organic farms and etc. So you see that there's also like the way maybe our market or customers, they're not ready. So what can you do to teach your future consumers to be ready for that? So that's also a decision for you. So just to add on it, and I see the product services become too expensive by being sustainable. Yes, totally agreeing on that one. This is something that, and this is beautiful saying that in the long term, they're not expensive, but in the short term, when we are buying it, they're expensive. But if we think about it, that we are paying once and using that for the long time, but it's really hard to say that, because it's depending where we're coming from, and maybe it's a privilege to say that, oh, we are paying expensive things, and so we can use it more on. But thank you so much, Maxime. We have Carlos. Our consumers need to educate it more to better understand why it's important to buy more sustainable product. Yeah, so it's not about, oh, they're stupid consumers, they don't understand. No, it's not about that. It's about how we are helping them and how we are communicate that. So it's not about us being frustrated, like, oh, they don't understand my idea. What can you do? How can you help them? Yeah. The regulation might not be supportive. The ecosystem might not be mature. Yeah, I think that's a true for different parts of the world and different regulations. Some of the regulations, for example, changes. Like with the energy, with after war and like during the war, actually, because there is still, the energy approach change in many countries. Many countries now, they're changing their regulations. So it's something also that can be or can't be affected depending how we approach that. But totally understanding that might be a blockage. But thank you so much, to be really respectful of your time and also your engagement. Thank you so much. I'm granting you 5 minutes of bio break. Take something to drink, to eat. I have organic mandarins, and I will see you in 5 minutes. Let's put it like that, okay? And I will continue my conversation, and we're gonna have some more group work. So see you in 5 minutes. Thank you so much for engagement so far. Perfect. I see. That's so great that I see that you're already writing. This is food for thoughts for me because I want to go through the comments that you're making. So for the second and third class, when we're going to create a value proposition or we're going to think about the root of the challenges, we can also try to tackle those ones. So thank you so much for sharing. Let me know if you are here, if you're back. If you want, you can switch on your camera if you want, or give me, you can send an emoji in a chat, so then I know that you are here with me for this half-hour session. And I see some people are back. Thank you so much. Okay, so I will be carrying on some 3-4 slides, and then we're gonna have some discussion, which I would love to actually for you also benefit more and talk with each other, because you already have a lot of knowledge, obviously. But you can see my presentation perfect. So in the end, it's all about actually balancing the two words. It's a business sector that we are balancing between the non-profit sector, and this is where we're supposed to have a social business, social entrepreneurship. And it's like a marriage. It's like a marriage of those two things, the two words that they need to exist, and they will exist together. We cannot separate them. And obviously business can be wrong. Business made already a lot of changes that are really hard to reverse, and I'm not even debating on that one. But to be honest, and this is also my explanation, why do I work with business? Because I believe that they need a change and they need a support, because without our support, about me as a designer and a social person, they cannot change. So how can we do this? Yeah, how can we make it work? And my proposition is to you, it's just like, really try to make the marriage of those two things. Don't reject business elements, don't reject the business knowledge, know-how, but to use it with the right elements and to use it with the right dosage, obviously. Maybe showing the way, being the living example that you can still do a business, but do a good business. And there are many examples now existing in the world, so I'm not going to even share that, but it's the way that take the best out of the business and use it, and to create a really sociable, sustainable social entrepreneurship. Just to give you an overview why we are marrying those two things, why we should stay related. We should talk about business at the same time, because this is anyway going to exist in the world. But also it's a copy mechanism for me why I'm working with the business at the same time and working with a non-profit organization, because I wanted those two words to be aligned and to support each other and cause the change. But let's move on to the next slide. And what is social entrepreneurs? What is entrepreneurship? What is the definition on that one? Yeah. So some of you already said, and this is really connected with sustainability, obviously. It's actually taking the best business elements and adding the interest in the people and environment. So they are in the center. So that's the most important for them. And the business element, like the money element, is like next to it. Yeah, it's a nice to have. It shouldn't be working, but the focus is more about how we're going to reinvest the money that we are doing, the profit that we are doing, to cause even bigger changes, to actually change the change. So we're not having organization just to earn money, to make us richer, but to give back to the community, give back to the environment. So how actually we can even cause more changes. And social entrepreneurs, that's a hard word. It's actually in the axis, you can see on this image, you have a traditional business, you have a non-profit organization, and you have a social entrepreneur. So then social, it's about being connected with the social profit maximization and repayment on investment capital. Yeah, so giving back to the community, giving back to the nature. Yeah, so you can see that in a traditional business is about financial profit. Let's make more, and let's use the money for our own, like our own needs. Yeah, so that's the why, how it's the difference here. And just to really like quickly understand why social entrepreneurship is working a little bit different. Yeah, and I'm gonna give you 2 more slides to get even deeper on that one. So to understand the social enterprise, we have a different dimension, and some of the social enterprise, they can be focusing more on economical element or social element or participatory element. So you don't need to dive deep into each element if you would love to establish one social entrepreneurship like that, but it's just for you to understand that you can be leaning towards certain elements, as the same as I was showing to you, that you can lean in the triple bottom line towards more social element, economical, and etc. Yeah. So for example, in a participatory government, that you may be process. And we are back. Welcome everyone on YouTube. I feel like in TV broadcasting and etc. Yeah, so those, you can see that in a presentation obviously, but you can have pros and cons, let's put it that way. If you want to invite everyone to make a decision, then it might take some time, it might take more time. Yes, but that's the price that you as an organization, as an enterprise, you need to decide on. Going deeper into that one, and I think that's the most complicated illustration that I will be showing you today, but I will take time to explain this one. So if we're thinking about social enterprise, we have 3 types. That's obviously the most common ones. Maybe there is a new one, maybe there are modern one. So this is obviously something that you can research on. So in each model, you have a diverse degree of connection between business activities, the 2 words. You remember when I was telling you have 2 words, business world and nonprofit, between business activities and social focus. Yeah. So imagine those 2 animals in the one body. So those are 2 animals that you can have them embedded, you can have them integrated, and you can have it, it's a really hard word, auxiliary. So you can have them, maybe someone knows how to say this word, I was trying to learn, but it's actually a separated model. But let's move on the first one. So embedded type of a social enterprise is actually a business activity. So the business world is really connected with the social mission. So everything is aligned. So the organization knows exactly what they're doing. They have a social impact. They're earning money to give more. So there is this alignment, and alignments, and everything goes smooth. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So people inside the company, they know what they're doing. They know they are driving towards that one. Yeah. So this is the sustainable, it's a mission. Yeah, it's a core. So this is the perfect, I would say, utopian picture. Yeah, it's really easy. It's really difficult to have this kind of type if you're trying to transform already existing organization. It's easy to have it when you're starting from the beginning. So then your mission, your value, and the business actions, they're aligned. So just to tell you, whenever you're gonna try to choose which, are you doing NGO, are you starting, or you're already having a business. Then we have a second type of enterprise, which is integrate. So social and the business parts, they're connected, but they're not exactly the same thing. On the one hand, we have, they're sharing the same asset, they're sharing the same personal people, they have the same resources inside the company. Yeah. So that's the middle ground. That's where they're connecting. So that's the crossover. But they not directly solve the social problem addressed by the organization. They're not having this alignment like, oh, we are doing that per se. We are doing that because we are driven by that. Partly, they know about this vision of like, oh, we are helping society, we are a social enterprise, but it's not really connected, embedded like in the first one. Yeah. So this is because enterprise activities, the business one, they act as a funding mechanism. So they're helping organization to generate the money to keep mission, the program mission, and like the core running towards that. Obviously, there is more research and more articles on that one. If you want to get deeper, that's the most difficult, I would say, the illustration. So now we have the third one, the last one, which is separate or external model with this hard word, auxiliary. So in this one, the two words are separate. So imagine that the two words existing in one company, one element is doing the business, it's making the money, and the other one is like trying to save the world, trying to do something good. And this model is quite often the reason why there is a frustration and a burnout in the company, inside the companies, because the employees are not aligned, or the different division or different departments, they have other agenda. They're doing something for other reasons. And obviously, if you wanna get deeper on that one, you can read it. But so the business activities, just to make it simple, they're not related to the mission of the company, to the mission of the people, the social aspect. And that's it. That was the most difficult or the most challenging slide. And obviously, you will have that in the presentation more. But to give you a little bit more, and then we're going to have a small discussion. Obviously, on top of that, on a social entrepreneurship, you can have a hyper specialization as a sustainable focus. So whatever you're going to do, if it's going to be a product or a concept, it can be, you can lean towards fair trade. You can be really focusing on that one. You can try to be eco-friendly. Yeah? So using the materials that are eco, yeah, they're not harming more. You can think about reusing things, so not actually producing product, but actually maybe proposing a service. It's a good question always to ask. Maybe my product can be a service. Why do I need to produce something? Maybe I can rent, I can share, I can use it with someone. Yeah. So obviously reusing as a recycling and repurposing. When I was saying in the beginning that maybe it is your waste, but maybe your waste can be used by other companies. So we are doing repurposing of the waste, sharing, not owning, as I mentioned, a produce service system. So you can also dive deep if you want on that one, and cradle to cradle. So actually, how we can produce stuff. So in the end of their lives, they can be recycled in the most natural way, in the most natural circle. So obviously there is even more sustainable scenarios, and we will be discovering them step by step in the next classes. But this is just the overview. And obviously I have 4 examples, but I think this is something that I want you to actually look at the presentation. So I'm just gonna go through them because those are the case studies. So you can read about them, about social entrepreneurship, like with a different approach on sustainability. Some of them it's about workflow, about inviting people, hiring people that with disadvantages, or maybe using natural resources and etc. But what I would love you to do now, to use, because we have 15 minutes of our time, is to actually talk in the groups, and I will be doing groups in a second. I will assign you to talk about your own idea, because you were listening from me. I was talking a lot today. but maybe you have a concept, an idea that can be sustainable or can be a social entrepreneurship. And maybe you can talk a little bit in the groups. What is the idea about? So share it with others. Maybe discuss which element from today talk you think you can use, or you can rethink now your idea. Maybe there was something that you just came up with, like, oh, maybe I don't need to do this. Maybe I can do that, or maybe I need to ask my community, etc. So I would love you to dive deep into that one. And I will assign you now in the breakout rooms. I will give you 10 minutes. So you will need to talk with each other. I mean, this is optional, obviously. I'm suggesting that. And in 10 minutes, I will take you back, and then we can have like 5 minutes reflection from today. How does it sound? I need to see some thumbs up in the chat before I'm gonna send you to the groups. Okay, thank you so much. I already see that. I have 2 thumbs, 3. Okay, perfect. So I will assign you, and I will see you in 10 minutes, okay? Perfect. Have fun. Hi, Rocco.
Hi, we are on YouTube. Okay.
Oh, okay. So we are on the YouTube. Okay, so that's good that you told me. But it's good for the YouTube people to also think about this one, about this exercise, and then you can write your answers. There is a special space in the platform, and it's in the welcome. Like the first thing when you entering the module, then you will see welcome, the introduction. Whenever you're gonna click there, then you have this question, and then you can share with others, which is going to be really beneficial for all of us to hear and listen from you. So if you want, you can use this channel too. And yeah, I will invite everyone else in less than 10 minutes to share, so you can stay with us. Rocco, can you hear me? Can I have a question?
Yes.
It's a public question. How can I, in 4 minutes, I would love to finish the breakout rooms. How can I do this? It's by closing the breakout room, yeah?
Yes, you can. Maybe you can enter in the different breakout rooms and to tell to people that we are going to. We are moving back to the main room. But if you want, you can also close the breakout rooms. But
Yeah.
maybe it's too much. Like if they
I
are.
know it's sharp, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to do this and then say sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Sorry for being this person.
Oh,
Always this person.
Oh.
I know.
In the middle of a sentence, Justina.
Yes.
In the
I
middle of
Sorry,
a
Maxima.
sentence.
So perfect. Then Irena, would you like to maybe, because now it's a sharing part, so maybe you can tell the sentence that you were talking about, because I want us to a little bit talk about what was discussed in the group. So Irena, is that okay for you to maybe share?
Yes, I will just go back to the sentence that we were trying to finish before the interruption, and we were going back to what I shared in the chat. My problem related to my idea of service is the potential environmental impact of people having to take flights to come to where I will be offering my service, because we think that culturally speaking, the service that is offered, which is grief walks, is more accepted by a more urban kind of public, let's say. And yeah, so probably the kind of people that would be interested in this might come from, I don't know, European capitals or this kind of places. And yeah, we were discussing about how to deal with this, and probably start with a few flights. So maybe offering a service internationally, let's say, and then launching the thing, and then maybe take the time to discuss locally with the local community, and yes, and have a more local, how do you call it?
I'm sorry, I'm back.
Customers, small local customers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't like the word customers.
Yeah. Or
but,
or participants.
Yeah.
Users.
People. Let's say people.
Humans.
Thank you so much. And that's actually a really good topic to take for the value proposition we're gonna do on the third class. Thank you so much for this input, Irena. I would love to maybe hear one more person from maybe the other team, other group, something that was surprising, maybe something that you want to share with others. I would love to hear from you before I'm gonna tell you about homework. I need someone to save me from the silence.
So sorry, Justina, I don't heard you. You can repeat the question, please?
Oh, if someone would love to share the discussion in the groups.
Okay, in
Yes.
our case, I
Thank you so much.
No problem. We only have the opportunity to share my project, Pueblos Remotos, and other project related with sustainable food from Dragana. But we we didn't have more time to share the other things. So sorry.
Yes, that was just like like a little bit of peek, because a sneak peek, because you will be working on that on the second and the third class. But it was an extra time for everyone to connect. I will be showing you, because homework. Yeah, this is a part of the experience of these 2 weeks with us. And don't worry, it's not a lot, because we will be working on the second and third class, as I was saying, a lot. But in Jitsi, in the platform, you have written assignment, and it would be really nice of you to do this assignment before our second meeting on Thursday. And it's example of social enterprise. So please write down in this assessment a good and a bad example of a social enterprise, a bad that maybe failed down or something happened from your own region.
So we're going to do a little bit of research here. I want you to do. So then we can share from others, because it's good to learn of good practices and bad practices, obviously. What was so unique? What is so unique about this example? Why some of those examples maybe failed? Why do you see that they failed? And what do you see, if there's something particular in these examples that you can maybe think when you're going to do your project or concept? So 4 elements. It doesn't need to be long. I think all of us can really benefit from that, to read a little bit more. And then obviously it's like a research part, and then we can think about it, how to implement maybe certain elements to your own value proposition later. But this is it. Thank you so much for today. I answer, Irena, your question in the chat about the example. Feel free to reach out to me and Maxim if you want, depending on which question, on which element in the platform itself. But this is it from me. It was really lovely to interact with you and get to know you. Actually cannot wait, because I already made the copy of the chat. So I will be reading some of the things that you wrote, especially for our 2nd and 3rd class. So thank you so much. But thank you for today.
Thank you, and bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.